Jacob rode the bicycle to the residential buildings of the university and headed to Cathy's dorm building first. He dropped her off, waved her goodbye, and walked back to his dorm. The dorm gate had just opened a few minutes ago, and Jacob sneaked into the dorm when the guard wasn't paying attention. He went up to the third floor, entered his room, and found Sam and his other roommates fast asleep. There were a bunch of food wrappers, ketchup pouches, and empty beer bottles on the floor. Jacob walked in quietly, grabbed his towel and toothbrush, and decided to wash up. However, his arm bumped into a cup which was knocked down to the floor, making a noise loud enough to wake up Sam, who was sleeping nearby. "Jacob, you're back?" Sam asked sleepily. Yeah," Jacob admitted. As the two talked, the other two roommates woke up as well. They looked at Jacob, who was holding his towel and toothbrush and was moving around sneakily. They immediately grew suspicious and asked, "What did you do last night?" Jacob stuttered as he held his toothbrush and gestured. He couldn't say anything. He was trying hard to form words, but his voice box seemed to have given up on him. Sam, who was initially sleepy, suddenly woke up with a lot of energy. "Don't tell me you and Cathy. Did you go to the next level already?" he asked. "What the hell? The dorm gate was already locked when I came back yesterday, so I went to the internet cafe for the whole night," Jacob finally said. "Cathy went as well?" one of the guys asked. All three of them were now completely awake. I don't know. After we ate yesterday, she went back to her dorm. I strolled around for a bit after she left and lost track of time. It was already too late to come back." "You do know that you can tell us if anything happened, right?" Sam sat up and made a suggestive face at Jacob. "Get lost." Jacob flipped him off and walked out of the bedroom. The guy sitting next to Sam didn't believe his speculations. He thought, why would a beautiful girl like Cathy hook up with Jacob this fast? However, the kind of things that had happened recently did prove that Jacob could indeed charm women. "Jacob is so lucky," Sam sighed and said as he saw Jacob rushing out. The three of them also got up, got ready, and stepped out of their dorm room. They all headed to class with Jacob. As they walked by the cafeteria, they bumped into Cathy, who rode past them on her bicycle. She was an inherently friendly person, so she would greet her classmates and try to make small talk with them usually, but today she rode her bicycle and passed by them in a hurry. Sam nudged Jacob teasingly as he looked at Cathy scampering away. "Don't start with your nonsense when we get to class," Jacob warned him. "Sure." Sam smiled even more nastily. The four of them stepped into the classroom and found that a lot of people were discussing the special lecture given by the two renowned scientists yesterday. Jacob looked in Cathy's direction and saw that she was talking to the girls in class as if nothing had changed. "Why didn't you come back yesterday, Jacob? I wanted to play the new game with you guys." Ryan, from their next room, saw Jacob walking in and yelled loudly. As they heard Ryan shout out, the girls sitting in the front turned their heads. "He went to listen to the lecture with Cathy yesterday. Why would he come back and play stupid board games with you?" A few guys who knew what had happened said promptly. "Stop talking. Just stop." Jacob, who was sitting in the back row, tried to quiet them down. The class soon began. Jacob, who thought everything would be over by now, discovered that the whispers had started to spread around the classroom. In a matter of moments, Sam received a message, turned around to nudge Jacob, and asked with surprise, "Hey, did you actually spend the night with Cathy? I was only joking with you." "Where did this information come from?" Jacob asked him. "The girls in the front row. They said that Cathy didn't come back to the dorm last night. Besides, she wasn't there when the dorm manager came for room inspection, and she could get into trouble for that." He then stared at Jacob in shock and asked, "Did you actually do it with her last night?" What? No! Jacob glared at his best friend for a question like that. At their age, it was quite normal to get physical, but since Jacob grew up listening to the sweet love stories of his grandparents, his thoughts were a little old school on the matter. He looked at Cathy, who was sitting in the front row, organizing her notes. It seemed like she wasn't bothered by the gossip. Suddenly, he felt that he should have dealt with last night's situation in a better way. He knew that Cathy really cared about her reputation in the class, and this could completely disrupt it for the rest of their time at this university. Of course, they are all misinterpreting us. We went together and didn't return till the morning. I wish I had thought of a better solution, Jacob thought as he hit his head on the table. Ryan was still poking around for information, and Jacob suddenly turned his head and declared, "Stop! If any of you discuss this any further, then I won't be friends with them anymore." Seeing the good-tempered Jacob suddenly getting mad, Ryan and the others stopped talking right away and looked at him in confusion. Ever since the incident of Jacob beating up half of the basketball team had reached them, the guys from his class and his dorm started respecting him more. They were also scared of getting in his bad books. Some of the guys were even jealous of Jacob as they were crushing on Cathy, but they didn't dare say a word to him. Besides, Jacob's buddy, Sam, wasn't an easy guy to deal with either. Not only did he have many friends at the school, but he also had the members of the basketball team pay for his medical expenses after the injuries. That made the other students think that he had a powerful background. Jacob saw that all the gossip had died down after his uproar, and he began to focus and looked at Cathy in the front row. He noticed that her ears were red, and it seemed like she was affected by the conversations around her after all. For the time being, Jacob decided to keep some distance from her. Jacob's cell phone on the desk indicated that he had gotten a message. He picked up his cell phone and saw a message from an unknown number. He opened up the message and saw a few words. "What is the USA's capital for coal production?" Normally, Jacob would delete this kind of unknown message right away, but this time he was in the mood to annoy someone just like he was annoyed. So he replied, "What kind of a dumb question is that?" A few seconds later, he received another text message. "Just answer me or I'll show you who the dumb one is." Sensing the tone of the message, Jacob instantly knew who sent it. "God, this girl is texting me in the middle of her exam," he thought as he shook his head at Sophie's creative way of cheating. Jacob replied, "Wyoming, do the rest yourself. I won't answer you anymore." A few moments later, he received another message. "How many river basins are there in Texas?" Of course, she ignored what I said. Jacob didn't want to help Sophie cheat as her tutor, but as her fiancée, he wanted her to pass the exam, so he gave in and took another one. He sent a message back. 7, and I won't answer any more." A few minutes later, his cell phone vibrated again. Is there an end to this? Jacob took out his cell phone, and it was Sophie's message again. "The answer is 8. I would fail if it were up to you." Jacob could sense the urgency in all these texts. After all, she was texting in the middle of an exam. "You blame me for a question you couldn't answer. I'm sorry, miss," Jacob replied with sarcasm. He then sent a second one saying, "Now quit wasting your time. Focus on the exam." "The exam is over already. I'm eating lunch now," Sophie replied again immediately. It's the first time Jacob texted Sophie in class. He had completely forgotten about whatever had happened this morning and had a smile on his face. "How many exams do you have today?" Jacob sent the message as he didn't want the conversation to end just yet. "There are 2 more today, physics and chemistry. I'll be relying on you." Jacob received this message with a smiling emoticon. Jacob just shook his head with a smile and looked outside the window, thinking, 2 exams mean that she'll finish school around 2 o'clock. I don't have class at that time, so I guess I can pick her up from school.
Please subscribe to the Pocket FM YouTube channel and press the bell icon for instant notification. Check out our channel for more such exciting shows.